Welcome back to Bloomberg This Weekend. Earlier this morning, we feasted on hot dogs, a true American staple, especially on this, the 4th of July. When it comes to beverages, libations, there is nothing more American than bourbon, known as America's native spirit.
Yeah, I really did get the good assignment here. We traveled to Claremont, Kentucky, home of Jim Beam, which sold its first barrel of bourbon more than 230 years ago. We talked about their long family history and how they're adapting to evolving tastes and an evolving market.
My name's Freddie Noes. I'm the 8th generation master distiller, and I've been working here for 15 years this year.
My name's Fred Noes. I'm a 7th generation master distiller here at Beam, and I've been here 42 years.
Is it important that it's Fred and Freddie so that you guys don't get mixed up? When they yell for one, do you both answer?
Before I was born, he was Freddie. I guess it was a granddad said, You go by Fred, we'll call him Freddie.
Talk to me a little bit about the company. How long has Jim Beam been around?
The company actually got started in 1795 when Jacob Beam started making whiskey. 8 generations later, we're still here.
How much has the recipe changed in that time?
None. I mean, I think it's interesting.
None at all?
It's scaled in size, obviously, right? I have a handwritten recipe that Jim Beam wrote down. Just knowing that, our family's been a part of making whiskey here in America for 230 years, over 230 years now, it gave me even more excitement and pride.
So if it's not a particularly complicated process, how do you distinguish? How do you make a product that's better? And how do you improve a product that's been around for so long?
There's so many little areas where heat and time can impart different flavors. So it starts there with the yeast, then the cooking process, but then as it ages, there's a lot of magic. We say there's a lot of magic that goes on in there. We've been making one recipe for a very long time here and got pretty good at it.
So for people who don't know, how does one make whiskey? How do you guys make it?
Water, grain, yeast. We cook the grain, put it in the fermenter, add the yeast. After it ferments, we distill off the alcohol, put it in a barrel, and put it away in the warehouse. That's a simple.
And so this has been in here for about 2.5 days. You can feel the warmth of this one. If you turn around and feel how cool this one is that's being filled.
Oh, wow. This feels like a refrigerator.
Yes.
This one is like room temperature, warmer.
So this one's about 65 degrees. And then naturally, the friction of the yeast eating that sugar heats that. It's a byproduct of fermentation. Heats that up, creates alcohol, heat, and CO2. So a lot of CO2 will be coming off. I'll give you a little warning.
It does remind me of like beer, like I've been in breweries before. Am I crazy? I feel like I'm like missing breath. Is that the CO2?
There's no oxygen right here.
You guys want to get a shot of this? It's pretty cool. Don't drop the camera in the yeast.
We can get it out. We'll get it out.
This is the most Willy Wonka looking room we've been in.
So after fermentation, we pump those fermenters near the bottom of the next floor up. And so the heat's traveling up.
Okay.
And the heat is heating the alcohol in there and turning it into a vapor. And then we'll redistill it in that vessel right down there. And so that's the finished product of Booker's bourbon that will be go into a barrel probably tomorrow and then go rest 6 to 8 years in the warehouse.
So drinking out of this fountain would do some damage.
It would, yes.
Still seems like a fun. I'm willing to try it.
This is a 9-story rack house.
There was time we were walking up here, like Jim Beam was in this rack house. Like this is an OG rack house.
He helped build this one. That's correct.
Crazy. What does that height get you?
Just more, I guess what I'll say, more flavor, variability throughout the warehouse. Jim Beam will be in every floor of this house, and we blend to a vertical cross section. We may go to another warehouse and get barrels from the top floor, and maybe even a third warehouse to get some from the middle to create that blend.
These are oak barrels?
Oak, yes, American white oak.
As producers look at margins and profitability, there's got to be a cheaper way to do this.
Well, maybe 50 to 70% of the flavor you taste in the finished product comes from the charring of that barrel and the sugars in that barrel.
So you've very stupidly handed me this mallet.
We're going to use this whiskey thief to still us a little sample out of that barrel. And I've given you the knocker there, and so your job is to remove this bung so that I can still us a drink.
Like above my head force?
Oh,
God. All right. This is not going to. Okay. I hate you,
Patrick.
You got this. Okay, ready?
Look at that.
I did a thing! Yes! Can we have alcohol now, please? This is pretty fun.
Oh, yeah. This is the most important and probably the most fun part of the job.
I like that it's called a thief because it does feel a little bit clandestine. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, that's awesome. What are we drinking?
So this is Jim Beam, right at 6.5 years old.
Okay.
And 128 proof. Cheers.
I'm gonna have a little bit more. What makes a good bourbon?
What makes a good bourbon?
Yeah.
One that you enjoy. I mean, that's what I always tell people, find one you like and drink it. When you say good, it's what you like.
Have things been going good for the industry lately? I mean, I know it's been a complicated market, both domestically and abroad. You guys are now owned by a Japanese company. Bourbon and whiskey are huge in Asia. Talk to us about where the growth is in the market and where there are like a little bit of struggles.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it right there, right? Asia has been an extremely emerging market for us. I think another thing within that is how consumers are consuming. RTDs are very popular.
What's an RTD?
Ready to drink. So
See, I didn't know that. It's an industry term. I'm learning.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. But I also think, a lot of consumers are being very conscientious of where they're spending their dollar, right?
Yeah.
As Dad said, we want you to enjoy it any way you please. So I think the biggest thing is getting people bourbon kind of how they're consuming, right?
When you look at the things that stress the business, what are the big cost factors? What are the things that are impacting you? I think tariffs and gas prices are the two things that come to mind.
Oh yeah, just the economy in general. People have to pay for their everything else.
It's a luxury item. Like you like
right.
it, but you don't have to have it. Yeah,
for sure. And there's the tariffs and stuff. That's part of it. But and people's taste changes. Like before they didn't like bourbon, now they do. Where they're going to shift and go away from it. Stuff you really can't control, but you just have to deal with it and move on. Be flexible and be adaptive to change. I think that's a lot of it.
So this site can produce 45 million gallons of alcohol per year. And my name is Julie Myers, distillery manager at the Booker Noe Distillery, and I've been with the Beam organization for 22 years.
Wow. All right, so we went to the other facility, but this is like the stuff that's not on the tour, right? This is where it's like really happening.
Absolutely. This is a much larger volume, much larger capacity.
In terms of capacity for an operation, where does this rank? Is this one of the bigger ones in the area?
It is. It's one of the biggest ones in North America. There are more barrels of bourbon than there are human population in Kentucky. I think the thing that surprises me the most is the sheer volume.
Even still?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of whiskey and bourbon on the market right now. There's a bit of a glut. And your CEO actually called this the golden age of whiskey because supply is higher and that means prices could be lower. What's your take on that?
To me, I think it's great for us, again, because we've stood by what high-quality bourbon has stood for. And so when you have a consumer that's being more conscientious with their dollar, I think that puts us in a very strong position based on the research that we've done.
The company is now private. Do you think that makes it easier or harder?
I think it's really easier. I mean, the bourbon's aging. It's a long-term deal. You put it in the barrel, and it's there for at least 4 years. And some, up to 9, 10 years. So if you're looking by the quarter, that stuff hasn't done anything. It's still sitting in the barrel.
I feel like we're all aging quarter by quarter, but we're doing our best. What do you do about the fact that young people are drinking less? It's hit all the producers. How are you guys adapting to that?
There's a handful of ways. It's just, again, how are you continuing to give them opportunities to see these products and help them be a part of their lifestyle, right?
And you're doing a non-alcoholic one, right?
You beat me to it. I was literally about to get into it. So during Prohibition, Jim Beam was a citrus farmer.
Do I believe that? Do I believe that Jim Beam wasn't running booze during Prohibition?
It was not.
He did not. He didn't want to go to jail.
It was actually kind of my idea to come up with the citrus version of a non-alcoholic 0.0%. It's a refreshing, kind of different take on how to enjoy kind of our family's history.
Fred, you're like a multi-generational distiller. When he came to you and said, we're going to make a non-alcoholic product, you didn't smack him across the face?
No way. Because that's the thing. When Freddie came in, I said, this is your ride. Do it. I mean, if he needs my advice, I'm around. But he's taking it forward. He's not going to hit on everything. It's not going to be a home run. But if you don't take a shot, you're not going to hit a home run for sure.
A shot of bourbon?
Maybe.
What do the next 250 years look like? You got kids? Are they going to be doing this? Do they come run around the distillery? What's the future look like?
Absolutely. My daughter was just here, actually, with a couple of members on my team.
Has there ever been a woman in this job?
Not from our family, no. Okay. Not from our family, yeah.
Not yet.
She'll be trailblazer for us. But she's very interested, I think, having the children around to see this is a great place and a great opportunity to carry on a very strong tradition.
Freddie seems kind of okay. Are you confident in your legacy and what this place is going to endure for the next?
It's in good hands. You know, just stay back and watch.
Stand back and watch.
I mean, your thing was cool too, but I did get to go to Kentucky and drink some very nice bourbon.
Yeah, there was no bourbon in the National Archives for my consumption.
Maybe you just weren't trying hard enough.
Fascinating. How big a physical plant are we talking about here?
So the smaller one where we did the barrels and looked at the mash and stuff, that's a little bit smaller and more manageable. But then we drove about 15 minutes to that larger facility, which is where, as you heard Julie say, there are more barrels of bourbon than residents of the state of Kentucky. They also took us over to a demonstration.
I just want to meditate on that for a moment. That is wild.
It's a lovely thought.
Yeah.
They let us bottle kind of our own bottle. You actually rinse it with bourbon because they don't want to add water to it, and then they let us put our thumbprint on the wax. I think we've got some video.
And that'll be just so you can personalize it.
How do I do that?
So you'll just hold your thumb in the top of it for 2 or 3 seconds.
Is that enough?
You got it. Now just lift off.
Woohoo!
And there you go. That's your thumbprint.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot less painful than my normal waxing experience. So they gave us a couple custom bottles, which we did share with our team, and we're very grateful for. And then I am saving one that I have on my bar. But
with your thumbprint on it.
With my thumbprint on it, so you can't steal it. But they're also doing, we're talking about how they're trying to appeal to a new generation of younger consumers who are more health conscious, drinking less, and they're really tying it into live events. They've got a U.S. Soccer World Cup bottle. They're doing things with Cadillac and Formula One. They have all kinds of partnerships and experiential marketing that they're doing to try to get people's minds around the fact that bourbon is drinkable on its own, but you can also put it in things. And he talked about also these ready-made cocktails that are increasingly popular, especially with young people.
I didn't know you to be a bourbon drinker before this piece, but you are one who enjoys a taste. And I will say very clearly in those conversations, just the acknowledgement of the fact they live in this history is still very front of mind to them. You talk about how they were purchased. It's like the business has changed in some fundamental ways,
yes,
but that historical resonance still very acute.
Fred and Freddie still seem very much in charge and know their products just absolutely inside and out. And I think, those are the kinds of guys you want making your excellent glass of bourbon. I would have trusted them with anything in my glass.